Good afternoon and welcome to the next concurrent session of the day, Sociology Software Demonstration. Our presenter today is Laura Shevlin with Hawks Learning. If you have any questions for Laura during the presentation, please feel free to enter those into the Q&A section at the bottom of the Zoom room screen, and we will address them at the end of the talk. We're also giving away 3 $25 Amazon gift cards at the end of this session. To enter for a chance to win, click the link in the chat to enter your name onto the prize wheel. On that note, I'll hand it over to Laura.
Thank you, Kristen. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining today's session. I'm really excited. If you all aren't familiar with Hawks, it's probably because we're new to the sociology world. This is a brand new product that we'll be launching for fall 2022. So I'm really excited to tell you all about this today. Let me go ahead and get started here. Perfect. So welcome. Again, my name is Laura Shevlin. I'm a senior courseware representative here at Hawks Learning. And today I'll be talking about our brand new title, Introduction to Sociology. The agenda for today, I just wanted to give y'all a little background on Hawks and who we are as a company, especially for those who aren't as familiar with us, if we haven't had the chance to work with you so far. And then I'll go through some of our ancillary resources for this title, for this textbook. And then lastly, I'll wrap up with a demonstration of the matching software for this book. So the first thing that I wanted to put up here are the core values here at Hawks Learning. We are a smaller publishing company, and we really pride ourselves on the support that we're able to give to both students and instructors. So a couple of things I wanted to mention here, first being affordability. So making sure that our books and our software are affordable and accessible for students is one thing that we strive for. One way we do this is by offering lifetime access to our software, meaning that access codes are tied to students for life and those codes never expire. We also partner with OpenStax for this title as well, just in an effort to keep costs low. So we partnered with OpenStax and used their Introduction to Sociology title kind of as a baseline for getting started. And then our content team here at Hawks, as well as contributing instructors from across the country, were able to really beef up that content, make it more up to date, and just put our finishing touches on it to make it unique to Hawks. Next, I wanted to mention our support. So all of our training and support is free and unlimited for both students and instructors, especially when you're adopting a new homework system. We want to make sure it's a smooth and easy transition. So we are here for instructors, no matter what, not just at the beginning of the semester when you're getting started, but at any point throughout your implementation process of Hawks. The last thing I wanted to mention here is mastery learning, and this is a big differentiator between Hawks versus some of the other homework systems that are out there. I'll definitely touch on this a little bit more when we get into the software itself, but just wanted to note here that all of our homework lessons are mastery based. And that's a fundamental difference in the way that students are learning these topics and ultimately proving that they've mastered the content here. So I'll definitely touch on this a little bit more in the software and show you how that works. See. The next thing I wanted to touch on here are the different purchasing models that we offer at Hawks. So we have a traditional direct from bookstore, students purchasing directly from the bookstore. That's where I mentioned that lifetime license is applicable for access to the software and ebook. We also have a direct from Hawks option directly from our website. That only includes software access codes, no printed bundles direct from the Hawks site. So that's always an option for students as well. And then this last column here is inclusive access. And it's certainly not required that your school does inclusive access, but if you are already doing inclusive access through your bookstore, just know that that is an option with Hawks. We do work with many bookstores that have an inclusive access setup. But the biggest difference between these three purchasing models will be with inclusive access, it's a singular semester access code since it's rolled into student tuition. So just a couple of options there. If you're interested in purchasing Hawks or considering Hawks for any of your courses, these are great conversations to have with your Hawks representative. They can kind of walk you through the different options and the course setups that you have in mind. The next thing I wanted to mention that come along with our Introduction to Sociology title are chapter projects. So these are pre-created projects that align with every chapter within the book. And these are things that you can pull out and incorporate into class time if you're looking for more project-based learning outside of the Hawks homework lessons or any assessments that you're giving to students. So just know that these are things that you can use as an instructor for just additional assignment types within the course. And these come included with the sociology title. Just going to touch on a couple additional resources that come with Hawks, no extra charges or anything. I know I just touched on those chapter projects as an instructor resource. We also have lecture slides for instructors, and then we do give you access to our full question bank. So any type of assessment, quiz, or test or worksheet that you want to create, you do have access to that full question bank to pull from. And you also have the ability to create your own questions if that's something that you enjoy. Now, under the student resources, I'll definitely touch on this a little bit more when we get into the software, but we do give students error-specific feedback as they're making mistakes within the software to give them that targeted feedback in order to remediate kind of right then and there as they're making mistakes. We also have step-by-step tutoring and helpful hints for students in the software. So just a learning aid there, but a great resource for students, if they're working on Hawks outside of those normal classroom hours for homework, they do have those resources to lean on there. And then lastly, self-created practice tests. And I'll definitely show you all how students can go about making these within the software, but they do have access to our full question bank to kind of pull from and create these practice tests to help them study. So let's go ahead and transition over to the student experience so I can show you what this looks like from the student perspective. Perfect. So what I've pulled up here, oops, sorry, I was stagnant for too long. Let me log in again. What I've pulled up here is the student side of our platform. So this is what students would be seeing as they're logging into Hawks and getting started on those homework lessons. I do want to walk through the dashboard here, just since we are new to sociology, just wanted to show you what that student experience looks like and all of the resources that they have. And then we'll go ahead and jump into a Hawks homework lesson. Here on the top left-hand side of the screen is our grades tab. This is where students can access our accurate and up-to-date grades with Hawks. We do sync directly with a couple different LMS systems. So Canvas, Blackboard, D2L, Brightspace, and Moodle. If you wanted to set up that grade and roster sync from Hawks to your LMS system, that's always an option. Another thing that we offer are student single sign-on options as well. So if you wanted to house Hawks within your LMS system, just to kind of streamline everything and house it all in one place, you have the option to do that with those different LMS systems as well. Jumping to the right here, we have our ebooks tab. This is where the online version of the textbook is housed. And this does come included with a student's purchase of an access code. So at minimum, students always have that digital version of the textbook rolled into that access code. Of course, we have bundling options if you prefer a printed book, if you wanted to bundle it with the software or use it standalone, but just wanted to throw that out there. Students always have that ebook and then that lifetime license if you're doing that standard purchasing process. Here under the discussions tab, we have two drop-down features. We have our live chat and discussion board. Live chat allows you to instant message with students. You can hold things like virtual office hours or Q&A sessions before exams. And then discussion board allows you to post topics or questions for students and they can thread and respond to their peers below. To the right of the screen here, we have our notification bell. This will just give students notifications of any upcoming or overdue assignments, just kind of keeping them on track. Again, you can house these in your LMS system if you just wanted to host those direct links to the assignments and take students directly to the assignment here, kind of bypassing the dashboard. To the right here, we have our envelope, our internal messaging system. Here's where you can send out course announcements or just messages to your course section overall. Within this drop-down menu, a few things that I wanted to point out here. First, we have our live support. This is where students can always get in touch with a Hawks specialist here through our 24/7 live chat. So if students are ever up late at night outside of our regular phone hours doing homework and they do have a Hawks related question, they can still get in touch with us here. We do have those regular phone hours for both students and instructors. And in fact, we have a 4-ring policy here at Hawks that when someone's calling in, a live person will be there to answer the phone within the first 4 rings. So if questions do arise for you or your students, just know that you do have a way to get in touch with us. Below that, we have a training video, which is just a good resource to introduce students to the courseware. Some instructors will show this, on the first day of class, just to kind of get students acclimated to a new system and show them where all the resources are housed here. Below that, we have a give feedback win prizes tab, which is just a fun way for us to encourage feedback from the students who are in here every single day using our system. At any point, they can submit feedback to us here, and we do monthly gift card drawings, which is just really fun for students. So down below, I'm able to see the courses that I'm enrolled in here, my school, instructor, and section, and then a mini to-do list of my upcoming assignments. As a student, I can click directly on these assignments from this dashboard, or click on this blue View Course button, which will take me to my to-do list. So that's just a comprehensive breakdown of all of those upcoming assignments and due dates. I did want to mention that these headers here and the order that these appear in are customizable. So if you wanted to break these out by modules or chapters, you always have the option to do that and really customize the way that this appears for students. I'm going to go ahead and click on a lesson here to show you what that looks like. So clicking on any lesson within Hawks will bring you to this same 3-mode learning path that we've laid out for students. So our learn, practice, and certify modes. All of the Hawks homework lessons will follow that same pattern and guide students through. I'll click into each to show you what this looks like from the student perspective as well. So the learn mode here is a multimedia presentation of the textbook. So it contains all of the relevant content and definitions that you would find in the printed book and that full ebook, just broken out into smaller, more bite-sized chunks for students. So these 26 pages here of content are what students need to read through in order to be prepared to answer the upcoming homework questions for this lesson. Now we do have some kind of multimedia and interactive resources sprinkled throughout the learn mode here. You'll see things like group activity suggestions, reflection questions, links out to other resources like videos or TED Talks for students to watch, relevant to the content that they're reading through here. Just know that these are things that you as the instructor can absolutely pull out of the learn mode and incorporate into class time. Whether you're teaching a face-to-face or online class, if you wanted to structure online discussion posts around these reflection questions, or if you have students in front of you, calling out to them and asking them these reflection questions to get that classroom discussion started. I will say everything in the learn mode here is customizable for instructors. So if there's anything in here that you don't necessarily cover in the course, you can always hide these screens as a whole, but you can also build in your own content as well. So if you had your own YouTube video or any content or definitions that you wanted to embed into these screens, you can always customize in that way so that students aren't just seeing the Hawks content, but what you've built in and customized as well. Now, I will say every lesson has a matching and corresponding video. Up here on the top left-hand side, you'll notice it says no video quite yet. Like I said, this is a brand new title that we're launching for fall. So we're still working on finalizing those videos and getting them out there for you all to review and explore here within the learn mode. But just know that by fall 2022, all of those resources will be available for students and will be uploaded here into the platform. Clicking out of learn here, I'm going to hop into practice next. And practice is exactly what it sounds like for students. It's a penalty-free environment that they can jump in and start answering these practice style questions before they're going straight to the actual homework or graded portion within the lesson. So we are giving students these algorithmically generated questions here to answer, as well as access to these learning aids down here at the bottom of the screen. Let me see my Zoom bar. Here we go. So students can skip over questions and really just focus on question types that they're struggling on here. If they get to a question and have no idea where to begin, they can always click on Tutor, which will pull a helpful hint for them. So these helpful hints will usually contain relevant definitions or examples for students, just things to get them kind of thinking in the right direction on beginning to answer this particular question. Now, if something is still not clicking from this hint screen here, students can go back to learn where that content was covered in those learn screens, or click on solution to see that correct answer displayed. So keep in mind, they can check their work at any time here as they're answering those practice questions. Another feature that I wanted to show you in here as well is our try similar button. So students can click on try similar as many times as they want to as they're answering these questions in order to get as much practice in as they need to. Let me see if I can find a question to answer here. Let's see, this one looks good. Perfect. I wanted to get a question incorrect here just to show you the type of feedback that students are getting as they're answering these questions within the practice mode. So of course, right away, when I got this question wrong, it let me know. But as a student, I can always click on this explain error button here, which will pull the question that I was just presented with and not only tell me that my answer was wrong, but why my answer was wrong. So keep in mind, our system has artificial intelligence that anticipates and diagnoses these common student errors that are made here in the platform in an effort to stop students in their tracks right away when they do make a mistake and let them know exactly where they've gone wrong. As you see here in this particular instance, I got this question wrong, but it goes on to tell me why. So my answer was incorrect, and this is because there's no imposition of one's own culture onto a different culture. It goes on to tell me reminders about what that looks like and what those definitions are. So in real time as a student, if I do make a silly mistake, I can always go back to practice, click try similar, and continue working through similar question types until my performance improves. We always say that this explain error feedback is the type of feedback that you would hope to give your students if you were able to sit down with every single one of them as they're working through all of these practice questions here. Now, at any point, students can come out of here and pop into that final mode of certify when they're feeling ready or confident to begin answering the homework questions for this particular lesson. So certify is the credit-bearing portion of the 3 learning modes. This is what students are actually completing for a grade within the course. It really is just our fancy word for homework here. A couple of things to note about certify. The question types are very similar to what students just worked through in practice. We are giving them the algorithmic generations of those new questions. They're getting different versions when they get to certify, but if they spent any time up front within the practice mode, answering any practice questions, it certainly wasn't wasted. Ultimately, we'll better prepare them for what's coming their way within the certify mode when they're being presented with the actual homework questions for the lesson. The biggest difference between practice and certify here, you'll notice that we've removed the learning aids down here at the bottom of the screen. Students can no longer access that tutor, skip, or try similar button. Ultimately, we just want to hold students accountable while they're in here completing the Hawks homework lessons to be able to stand on their own and ultimately prove that they've mastered this content here in the lesson. At any point, we don't want students to become overly reliant on those learning aids that we provide to them within the practice mode. And we do consider these to be lower stakes assignments. So it's totally fine if students are making mistakes here and there. We just want to be very transparent with them right then and there in the lesson. If there's something they're struggling on, let's point it out here versus waiting for those higher stakes assignments like tests, quizzes, and paper in your course to be the first time they're finding out, geez, I guess I didn't really know that concept as well as I thought. Now with Hawks, we do use a mastery-based approach for our homework lessons, like I mentioned earlier. So what that means is we're asking students to reach a mastery level of these lessons here at around 80% in order to achieve credit on their homework. And by credit, I mean 100% in the gradebook once they've reached or exceeded the mastery level of the lesson here. As you can see in this particular set, we've given students 10 questions. Of those 10, they have a little bit of wiggle room. So that 2 inside the red heart indicates the number of questions that they can miss, and they're still within that mastery threshold of the lesson here. Now, if a student dips below and misses a 3rd question in this set, our system's going to take them out of certify, put them back into the practice mode with a custom set of questions based on what they just missed. So there is that adaptive remediation that's built into our system as well, allowing students to go back to that penalty-free environment and really focus on the question types that they're struggling on. Of course, they can access the learning aids and the error-specific feedback that we just walked through. At any point, students can come back in and attempt that certify lesson again. We're never going to block them out of certify or take off points when they dip below the mastery level. They truly have unlimited attempts when it comes to answering these homework questions and ultimately scoring that 100% in the grade book. Now, outside of the Hawks homework lessons, I did want to show you a little bit more about the assessment tools that we offer. So of course, as an instructor, you can create any tests or quizzes using our full question bank here. Those would appear here for students under this web test tab. So they're kind of separately housed here. You know, the lessons are the homework, and then any tests or quizzes that you assign. You have the option to assign through Hawks or to do paper and pencil. One thing that students have access to all on their own, which is really nice, is this practice web test tool to create their own practice tests or study guides for any upcoming assessments in the course. So as a student, I can come in here. I can say I'm prepping for test 1. I know I want to set 25 questions, and I can even time myself if that's something that I struggle with. And then from here, I have access to all of the different chapters and lessons here within Hawks to go ahead and add those in. As you can see, we have added a chapter 0 here for the sociology title of thinking scientifically here. These do have full question banks if you wanted to assign any of these lessons for students. If you feel like semester after semester, they're kind of coming in lacking some of these foundational, soft skills for the course. But I'm going to go ahead and pull from just a couple of different chapters here. And when I click start, it will generate that practice test for me. So students can come in and answer these questions here. I can skip around just as I would with a pencil and paper test or quiz here. And I'm going to go ahead and pop a couple answers in here just to show you the feedback that students are getting. Let's see, as they're answering some of these questions. I can also hide the time here on the top right-hand side of the screen if that's ever a point of anxiety for me. But I'm going to go ahead and submit for time purposes today and show you the feedback that students get when they submit that practice test. All right, so didn't do too bad here. I feel like I've remembered a couple of these questions from the last few weeks, but overall here on the left-hand side is my performance in this pie chart. So how well would I have performed if my instructor created this test and assigned it to me? And then here on the right-hand side, I get a breakdown of my performance by lesson. So it's showing me each lesson I use to compile and create that practice test. Visually, as a student, I'm able to see the areas where I'm performing well in, those little green bars here. And then, of course, the areas of red, where I might want to dedicate more study time to. Not only can I see those areas of red, but I can click on those areas of red too, in order to generate more practice questions for me to work through. So the idea here is giving students as much practice as they need to in order to be prepared for those higher stakes style assignments within the course. If I exit here, I can go back and review my practice test here. I can also retake it at any point to see if my performance improves. But that's really everything that I wanted to share within the student side of the platform. I know we have some extra time here, so I am going to switch gears over to the instructor side of our platform to show you some of the reporting tools that you have access to if you are using Hawks in your courses. And then, of course, we'll have time at the end for questions here. And I don't have a sociology gradebook fully set up yet. Like I said, this is a brand new course for us. So I'm going to hop into our college algebra gradebook. So you'll just have to ignore any nuances you see with our mathematics title, but this looks exactly the same as the instructor gradebook for the introduction to sociology title. So I'm coming over here to our reports tab. And as you can see, we have a ton of reporting options within the Hawks software. And I always show this page to instructors, not to say that we expect instructors to use all of these key reports here, but if you have any goals in mind for your course or something that you're hoping to measure from your students, chances are there's already a report that's kind of running in the background and compiling that data for you. So that's another way that we're here to support you here at Hawks. If there's something you're hoping to measure, we're happy to point you in the direction of which reports to pull and where that information is housed. Now, today I wanted to show you our assignment reviewer tool in particular. This is one of my favorite reports within the Hawks system. It will help you to spot any red flags that you might see among your students and give you intervention points to intervene and meet with students if they are struggling before it's too late within the course to make any changes. So here, the first thing you'll see on this page is our submission status bar graph. So just kind of a bird's eye view. Are students completing their homework lessons, and are those being done on time, late, or overdue? Down below, I can see some additional student data here, the number of students who've certified in those lessons, and then the average amount of time spent in each mode. Now, if I'm curious about a particular lesson, I can go ahead and click on that lesson name, which will generate more detailed student data for me here. So here I can double click this score column and generate those students who have not yet mastered those Hawks homework lessons straight to the top here to take a closer look at where it is that they're struggling. So here you can see the number of attempts that a student has taken on those certified lessons, and then how long individually they spent in each of those modes. I always tell instructors that this is a key report here. You know, if you do have students coming to you saying, I worked on that homework for hours last night and I just could not certify, you can take a look at the breakdown of time that they spend in each mode. Like this student here, Eric, it looks like he attempted certify 4 times, but he didn't spend any time up front in learner practice. So this would be a great intervention point to kind of point him in the right direction and prompt him to work through learn and practice before jumping straight to that certify mode. One thing that you can do as an instructor here too is click on that student's name and actually go in and review that student's certify attempts here. So I can click review attempt to take a look at which questions Eric was missing, what answers he was inputting, and then maybe talk through during office hours, the correct solution for any of those questions that were preventing him from certifying. Coming back to this page here, we also have an analytics tab. So this will pull commonly missed questions among your students for you to take a look at. So one thing that I love about this page here is that there's no actual student data on this page. So this is something that you could pull up in class or even take a screenshot of just to show your students, if you're struggling in this topic, you're probably not alone. 44% of students, almost 45% of students missed question 1 on last night's homework assignment. Let's go ahead and use the first 5 minutes of class to talk through this concept or, find out where you all are struggling or where that disconnect is. One thing that's kind of neat here too is you can click on that question number to generate a similar question type. Of course, like I said, I'm in a college algebra gradebook here, so this won't look very sociology related, but it will pull the same way for your courses within Hawks. And then down below, just some additional data here. You can see the difficulty level of each question that students were missing, the percentage of students who got them correct and incorrect, and then the average amount of time spent on that particular question. But that is really everything that I wanted to share here on the sociology side of things. Do we have any questions? I'd be happy to answer. Like I said, I'm really excited about this new title and I'm sharing it with you all today. You're our first kind of big group of people who has seen it since we just launched it about 2 weeks ago.
We do have one comment in here right now that says the customization ability will be nice. One question that I often hear related to customization that I think could be helpful for everyone is where could an instructor add in like their own videos or own class notes into the Hawks courseware?
Yeah, so you have a couple of options. You have the option here to customize those learn screens, or we do have a materials library within the courses as well. So if you had PowerPoint slides or other instructional materials that you wanted students to have access to within your course, another tab would appear here, just like these ones here that would say course materials, and you could upload them there. So it just depends on what you have. If you have, full length articles you want students to read, the materials tab would be a good option. But if it's just a quick video or something like that, putting it directly in the learn mode as students are reading about that concept is always a good option too.
Thank you. Is there a way to create pre or post type assessments in Hawks?
Yes, there is. So I will say there's a lot of customization that you can do kind of on the back end of things. So if you wanted to require prerequisites for any type of course or any type of assignment, you could do that. So if you wanted students working through all of the homework lessons for chapter 1 before getting to that chapter 1 test or quiz, you can make those prerequisites for one another. We also have a diagnostic testing feature where you could use as a pre or post assessment tool within sociology. So if you're finding that, students are kind of coming in at all different levels and you don't have time to fit every single topic in that's in the Hawks courseware, you can create a diagnostic assessment that would allow students to kind of test out of any topics, and they'll only be assigned the topics where they didn't meet proficiency, and you would define that proficiency level as an instructor. So it's really up to you, the type of assessments that you want to create within your course. I will say the Hawks side of things is very flexible, and there's a lot that you can do with it, and there's a lot that you can customize. So I always tell instructors, you can customize as much or as little as you'd like.
Great, thank you. Is there any sort of student tutorial or introduction to Hawks?
Yes. So that's housed here within the platform. We do have this training video here on the top right-hand side of the screen. We do have instructor training videos as well. So I wanted to mention, if you're adopting Hawks and you're nervous about a new system, we have plenty of resources for instructors. All of our training and support is free and unlimited, and we want to make sure everyone's confident and knows how to use a new system moving forward. And that goes for both students and instructors. So we do have resources for instructor trainings and student trainings. At the beginning of every semester, we do host a student training series that's about 2 weeks long that students can join in kind of at their leisure and when their schedule allows to get trained on the Hawk system and have the chance to ask questions with any of our training and support team.
Great, thank you. Let's see, any other questions?
I will say too, if you're interested in exploring sociology at all, swing by the Hawks booth. That's where we're doing, small demonstrations of the software, but we also have our virtual bookshelf where you can go in and request your own copies of the textbook or your own account here to play around in. So if you are teaching at the intro level and you want to consider Hawks further, just let us know, shipping addresses and email addresses, and we can make sure you have what you need to explore.
Great. Thank you, Laura. Any last minute questions? Okay, well, if they come up, you can certainly still add them into the Q&A. But as Laura mentioned, if you have any remaining questions after this, you can certainly stop by the Hawks virtual booth and speak with a member of our Hawks team. We're also hosting this conference tomorrow as well. But thank you, Laura, for all of the valuable information you shared with us today.